Okay, good evening, everyone. My name is Francis Sifo. Welcome to another episode of Money Talks. For those of you just joining us for the first time or coming to this channel for the first time, Money Talks is all about conversations about money, personal finance, and wealth. And on today's episode, we are going to be having a very interesting conversation about money in relationships. And with me, I have some really, really amazing people as guests for this special episode today, where we're going to be exploring really the question about how important is money in relationship, right? And something that we are very familiar with is my money, our money, right? So on today's episode, I have with me Sani, Yusuf, Tunde, Kara, and Unwane. We have a few more guests joining the show later today. So let's just jump right in and get started with the topic for the day. So I want to start off directly. Anybody can start with this first question. Guys, what do you think? How important do you guys think is money in relationship, essentially?
Tunde? So maybe I go first. I'm almost 2 years married now. Dated my wife for about 3 months before I asked her to marry me. How have we dealt with money? See, long story short, money is very important in relationships. End of story. Yes, we love each other and all of that, but I don't know that I would have been able to step to her when I was still my broke ass. Early in my career stage guy. She probably would have not been talking twice. I don't know. Like, yes, she's going to tell you she loves me, and I know she loves me and all that. But I think money, and this is not just for relationships. I think money takes away concerns for your everyday stuff, and allows you to be yourself, your true self. So yes, it's important, because if there's no money, that's when everybody's worrying about what are we going to eat or what are we like. Money takes away that stress so that you guys can be your actual self. So yes, money is important for relationships, definitely.
Wame, what are your thoughts? Let's hear from.
Why did you put me? Oh, that's what happens when you're doing people. So money. Is money important in a relationship? I think money is important generally in life. Like, we can't do anything without money now. Yes, money will help you solve a lot of problems here and there. But with regards to relationships, I don't know if I'm the perfect person to answer this, but yes, I think that money is important. And I would maybe take it from the perspective that I think each party should bring something to the table, right? You don't want to have to be dependent on the other party, just so that you're able to do things for me, okay, let me bring my own reality.
Tell me that one.
I hate to be accountable to, like, some other person about money, like when it comes to money matters. Like, I don't want to have to ask someone for money and they're telling me, oh, so what do you want to use it for? Write your list. What are you doing? Oh, but you just received 100K last week. So what do you need this extra 50? I don't want to. So, like, I want my money. I want to have my money to be able to do things that I want to do by myself. And yes, have your money. And if you want to spend your money on me, that's fine. And if I want to spend my money on you, that's also fine. So yeah, I think it's important to have for both parties to have, like, their individual money in a relationship, marriage, dating, courtship, whatnot.
So everybody bring your money to the equation. Sani?
Thank you. So I don't actually think money is important. I think money is essential. Important means it's essential. Resources are essential in any setting, like at least, well, in this setting, there's a relationship, because from when we were cavemen, you had to have resources, because at the end of the day, all relationships on some level are transactional, whether we like to believe it or not. You're fine, I'm rich, or you got money, I'm fine. It's transactional on some level. We can
Okay.
talk about love and everything, but at some level, there's an exchange that we're innately doing, and you do that with resources in this day and age, which is money, right,
Mm.
or status or whatever. And so it is essential.
Okay, so
So
maybe the
Sunny,
question
I
I want to
agree.
ask
Yes, it's actually essential. So
is an
yes, it's
essential.
important. It's the same thing, Jerry. It's just a matter
so
of like,
so maybe at the risk of sounding a little contrarian, so that's why I framed it the way I framed it earlier. Money helps you to solve basic problems and allows you to be your true self. Just like Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs.
Of needs.
Like after a certain level, you can be your true self. So in that sense, maybe money is not so important because if I grew up in the UK, for instance, or somewhere where I have a social security backing, like I have a social net that can hold me. Like I don't even think about a mortgage. I don't think about where to stay because there's provision for a mortgage. I don't think about basic stuff that the average person in Nigeria is going to be worrying about. So you want to get a house in Nigeria, you're looking for 40 million to buy a house, or you're looking for 10 million to pay down payments. Like it's like those kind of things that in a proper society are sorted out. You don't have them. That's why I think a lot of Nigerians are very particular about how much is he earning? How much is he earning? If I was in a society that was way more balanced, I probably will not lay a lot of emphasis on money. Most likely not. I don't. So money is important because it raises you above certain things so you can be yourself. But in a relationship, I don't think it's important for the relationship itself.
Well, I think you said some very interesting things about like when you see people saying, "Oh, how much does he earn? Like, what does he do?" And you would have even seen like cases where people are saying, "Hey, I don't want to get into a relationship because I'm not financially there." But then the question really is like, how much is enough before you are like, okay, you know what, I'm okay to be there, because obviously there's no one size fit all. But I've seen people like for years they are literally avoiding relationship because it is now. Oh yes, it is important, but it's like at every point in time, there's no enough benchmark to say, okay, you know what, I think I'm okay. Maybe because of the kind of interactions they're also having, but then you then see people are like, hey, I don't think I'm in a place financially, and because of that, I don't want to get into any relationship because of the financial expectation, right? Also because a lot of the time maybe there's expectation that hey, you need to come loaded with a lot of money, right? Especially like in Lagos, where people are like, hey, where do you stay? Where do you live? And are using that to benchmark you quickly. Do you stay on the island or do you stay on the mainland? Well, what kind of car do you drive? Well, those things, interestingly, are very weird concepts that people, interestingly enough, has baked into people's mindset in terms of how they now approach relationship. Because they're like, hey, if I'm not there, then is there any point really trying to even form any relationship, because nobody will take me seriously. Because it almost becomes like those are like the benchmark or baseline requirements now for any meaningful or serious relationship. So how does that kind of play into as well?
Yeah, I could chip in here. I think one thing that is important is while we're talking about this, we should probably dissect the whole conversation, which is when we're talking about, I think fundamentally, and this doesn't apply to everybody, but this is just my own pure conjecture based on my own observation, and I think probably I can consider it a norm. I think what in a world where we're talking about straight we seek different things from partners. So for example, Francis, I don't know if that's the truth, but um I'm sorry, I don't know if someone has muted their mic. Yeah. Okay. So the conversation is who asks what. So for example, in that female perspective. So those conversations are more, I don't see a lot of guys going on dates asking those same questions to their feminine counterparts, because what we're seeking or what we're prioritizing in terms of a relationship is very different. And I think that is very, very important. And I know I'm kind of like beating around the bush here, but like it does lead to the conversation. Okay, who as to like what is enough, what you're benchmarking. I'm not mad at that. That's just the game. La jeu est la jeu, like we say in French. That's just the game. Don't lower the hoop, just dunk higher, right? Like that's what I always say. But it's interesting. I think it would be worth exploring why that benchmark that you're asking about, where do you live? What school did you go to? Where do you work? I'm pretty sure, where like those questions, I think it'll be interesting to explore the why. I don't know if I just went on a tangent there or not.
I think that it's what society has given down to us, right? We tend to we're seeking comfort in the end, everyone is seeking comfort, and comfort can mean different things to different people, right? So for me, well, not for me, for some people, it's more like, so yeah, what school did you go to? Or like, what school did you attend? That puts you in a particular class. So if you went to like a private school, like a popular private school, that it's known the range of school fees that is being paid there, right? Okay, yeah, so this person's probably from a rich family, so they're comfortable. I'm not going to suffer. But where do you live? I live in Ikoyi, or I live in Lekki or something. Okay, yeah, so this guy has some money. What type of cars do you like? What car do you drive, for instance? Or they're looking out to see your like if your car key, if you're dangling into like, oh, he drives in range. Okay, I think this guy is like comfortable, and it can like also be on the flip side. The guy is also trying to like gauge up and match up that. Oh, is this girl from a wealthy home? Like, I don't want someone that is going to like probably be a liability to me. But then I think what we tend to notice is that the focus is more generally on the guys, because we all believe that the man should be the provider. And then there's some guys that they really just want to be the ones providing. They don't want you to chip in and say, hey, so I'm bringing my money too. No. Yes, I get like there's the whole male ego thing going on, but there's some guys that would really put their foot down and say that, no, I don't want you to bring your money. Keep your money, do whatever you want to do with your money. But if I'm going to be in a relationship with you, then I have to be the one spending all of the money. But I don't know if that's right.
Tunde has something to say.
I'm not in that category, guys. Just FYI. So for me, I wanted you guys to speak first. So this whole is sizing up thing. I think it goes both ways, though. Especially for Lagos. Let me not speak for other places. I think it goes both ways in the sense of, yes, generally the focus is on the guy, but my generation of guys started wising up. We're also checking CVs too. So for me, I'll speak for myself. For me, when I was still early in my career, broke as like, yes, I do want to date, and I even told myself, if you cannot afford to raise a family, like have a wife and kids, and be comfortable, just forget it. Like don't be stringing anybody along. So when I was ready to get married, even though like I was comfortable enough to foot the bill for multiple families, but I've also seen situations where the guy is stupidly rich and then something happens to him, he dies, or something happens to his business or something, and then they're back to square one because the woman wasn't earning anything. So, and to be honest, it sort of kind of happened to us, like after like about a couple of months into our marriage, because I went into full-time entrepreneurship. Like I quit my job, I got the bug. And in the last like maybe 1 year, I've basically been earning stipends from my company. Yes, I provided for that, like so I had enough to handle whatever happens in for the next 2 years. But it was a gift for me that my wife was earning well. Like so there was no undue pressure. Yes, before I cut the bug, I put things in place that would fit our bills, even if we weren't earning money for 2 years. But it was like what I'm trying to say here is it was a good thing that my wife was earning, and we didn't need to think about how we can pay the light bill, or okay, we could pay the light bill, yes, but if we wanted to travel, how we travel, or how we going to do all those extravagant stuff. So yeah, it's good. It goes both ways. It's good. It goes both
Yeah.
ways.
I think that even just leads into like the next question I actually wanted to ask, which is how has the what has been like both the positive and negative impact of money in relationship, right? You hear stories of how money has helped, and this is not even just only in romantic relationship, right? I've also seen the dynamics of how money even affects relationship with families, relationship even with friends. Everybody's like, hey, today you're in Lagos, automatically you have money. There's that perception, right? That you're in Lagos now, send me something. Bro, so why will you tell me that you don't have money, right? Or I see your picture on Instagram, how are you telling me you don't have money? So I don't know anybody that wants to actually try to talk about a bit on how has money in some sense or even kind of affected your relationship generally with people, even from either a positive or a negative light. And what has been some of those learnings in terms of what you've seen from those instances generally in some sense? Hi, Dami, how you doing?
I am very well. Hi guys. Hello. Sorry.
Oh, we lost her. Okay. You should probably jump back in.
But yeah.
So, Sani, how has it been generally looking at money, the impact from a relationship standpoint, both whether it is romantic or even platonic, in terms of how that has affected your dealings with people? Because you've seen cases, I have at least had a case where people have certain expectation of you, and it's almost as if it's almost like people almost kind of start growing a certain entitlement to your money because they're like, hey, I asked him for money, he's not giving me. What was that like? Like I said, it doesn't have to be romantic, even generally, whether it's platonic relationships or even extended family, right? Oh, I found that, or we see that you are doing well. I asked you for small money, you're telling me there's no money, bros. You are a wicked person. So I want to get.
And your face is in all the national newspapers. You're telling me that I don't have money.
Yeah. I think you're spot on there. There's something I've always told people. Money changes everybody. If it doesn't
True.
change you, it will change the people around you. That is 100% like fact. Money changes everywhere. So never be naive to think it's not gonna change the people around you, or like so you have to be almost consciously aware because that's the only way. Don't think you and your guys that you're playing football, then one day you suddenly become a Fortune 500 CEO that they just gonna like all of them are just you're putting expectation that all of them are gonna stay the same. No. It's either gonna change you, or it's gonna change people around there because what money does is it provides access, right? And when people like access, and some people sometimes feel entitled to access because Francis now is found that so she'll be able to call in to find a job for my this person for my that kind of thing because they feel they may not even want your money, but that access that they think the money provides you. But it's like, you know what? If that was how I was dishing out the access, then there wouldn't be a company to begin with, right? So I think it does. It changes everybody, and it's very important we are always like aware about that. But then one thing that it does as well, the positive sides, like I said, it provides access. Like I'm not married, right? I'm not in a like I don't have a fiance or like that kind of thing. So, if I'm going on a date now, I'm not gonna lie, compared to when I was maybe 19 or 21, right? The levels is different, right? I can be like, yo, hey, you know what? Let's meet at this bar, that kind of thing, you know what I mean? Because I can afford it and I like to go there and I can eat at that place. And you know what? Maybe I can even extend the courtesy to also foot a bill for another person, right? Now it's trips, is it at the end of the day, we're all shallow at some level. So, but I'll be honest, maybe like that provides for a better experience. I'm not saying without that experience, you can still, and we can go and Malashita eat and I'll still give you a nice experience, but it does provide access, like, and that does, I just say it speeds things up. Like Tunde says, it makes the easy things easier. Yeah.
Somebody actually is asking
So-
the question in the comments. It says, can we generally say in this age that the male ego thing still exists? Sure.
Of course it does.
I think
Of course,
so.
like, of
Especially in
course,
Lagos or
like
Nigeria.
Yes, it does.
It's not-
Like
it's-
this,
it's-
I've seen this for the very recent week self. So
Of course it does. So even I'm sure we're still going to get into that part of, oh, my money is my money is my money. Our money, your money is our money.
My money is
We're still
my
gonna get
money is my money. So your money is my
And-
money. My money is my money.
Yeah, so my own money is our money, but your own money is your money. Well, what's the best thing about? I just want to quickly talk about something related to what Sunny just said about negative and positive experiences. So there's this babe. I hope she knows what this is, because she's probably going to know what I was talking about her. So this was much earlier in my career, and so I started making small changes, but it was so small coins. And she's from a very well-to-do home. Her dad is well off, and I met her through her friend. She liked me, obviously, but she was sizing me up like, this is the kind of guy I want to end up with, type of thing. So after plenty psychs and let's go out and everything, I finally went to one Chinese restaurant, and then we were eating. After the whole the night went well and everything. And then I noticed that she did something. I don't know if she noticed I noticed. When the bill came, she asked for the bill, and then the bill came. And then as the waiter was passing me the bill, she took the bill and looked at it and looked at how much it came to. Nodded her head and passed it back. And I guess she was watching to see my reaction on how whether I would flinch at the bill or something. I paid the bill and everything. But hey, if that happened now, if I was married, if that happened now, it won't mean anything to me because now I'm more practical now. But then, from that point,
Because I'm more practical.
from that point, yeah, from that point, like, because I was very idealistic at that point. I'm like, oh wait, so this is what this bill was about, and it kind of ruined the experience for me, and that was it for me. But if it happened now, it probably won't mean anything to me because I'll get exactly where she's coming from. So yeah. Money actually, it changes the way people look at you. It changes, and what Sandy said is very, very true. So people here as a founder that you raise money, and they just assume, oh yes, this guy is boxed up now. Like that money is going into the company's account, it's not my account. I don't understand what's happening there. And then even so, for friends, well, my family is a bit like everybody understands each other, so everybody minds their business, but. For friends, like I would get people from secondary school just hit me up and like, my brother is looking for a job. I'm like, even my own brother said, I'm working in my company. I don't understand how I'm going to get your own brother a job. So those kind of things, yes, it actually does change. So that thing about money doesn't change you is a big load of rubbish. That they say, oh, it accentuates or it magnifies who you really are. It's a lie. Money actually does change you, like changes your access, changes a lot of things. Yeah.
I said, can you hear us? Are you there?
Yes, I am. I'm so sorry. I've been having technical
Okay,
issues.
welcome. I can tell the network has been off and on. So we're basically talking about the impact of money in relationship. About how does that affect? How does money play? What's the impact of money in relationship, whether both in romantic or platonic relationship, right? Has there been like good experiences where money actually amplified like good times or made the relationship a lot more stronger, or even like where you having access to money or somebody in the relationship having a bit more access to wealth kind of even diminished or even caused the relationship to go down the drain in that sense?
Hi, everyone. I think I can quickly summarize my answer in one sentence. No romance without finance. Money is super, super, super critical in my opinion, in a relationship. I've been there where I've been down that road where I would argue with you and say, no, you don't need money as long as there's love, and love is important.
But that's what all the musicians tell us now. Is that not what the musicians tell us?
Even if you are not even in a relationship without money, you'll be having constant headache. Not to talk of now being in a relationship and having to have conversations with this other person, or I'm not saying that one party in the relationship should be a provider or constantly providing, but sincerely, really, no romance without finance. Really, really critical money in a relationship. My opinion, that is.
I
And
love it.
with the way Sani is nodding his head, I think we're aligned.
I love it. Like I've always said, if you have no business sweating on somebody's daughter if you don't have money. Like your that's not your work. Your occupation should go and be sweating in market. Like that's it's just the truth. Is we're walking around it like it's we know like at the end of the day, the game is the game, right? Don't be angry about the game. I'm not saying if you're poor, you don't deserve love. I'm saying, and I think another thing that we need to consider is when I see people saying money doesn't really matter, there's two, when we look at relationships, there's two spans, short term and long term.
Mhm.
People that look at the relationship from a short term lens, money doesn't matter. If this boy is a fine boy, he's there playing guitar, he has dada, he has dreadlocks, he's a bad boy. Yeah, it's short term now, you want to have some fun, everything. But when you start thinking, okay, I'm catching feelings now, okay, where are we going to live? Guy is in one shared boys' quarters in Ibejuleki. That's when the practicality will now start hitting home. Like, okay,
Start calculating the amount of traffic you use to go to office every day.
like hey, this one his guitar is playing, that guitar will not pay so and that's why you hear things like, especially from a male perspective, oh, he doesn't have to be, well, when girls talk about guys, he doesn't have to be rich, but he needs to be ambitious. Basically, he doesn't have to be rich now,
Now,
but
He used to
one
have
day,
potential.
one day he must reach
so one day we must see that future that is clear, that you are on that track. You must be on that track. And if you derail from that track, that actually then derails the relationship as well.
Yeah. So I know like an older man that usually would say, if you don't have a job as a guy, you have no business looking for a girlfriend, not to even talk about a wife. And well, I kind of understand where he's coming from. I think someone had a question.
Yes. So somebody was asking whether should finance or money be the ego eye of relationship, or should it be a deciding factor while you are cutting? I think we've gotten like resounding answers saying yes, so better go and stack your paper.
So that's what I said at the risk of being controlled when I was making my point earlier. I don't think finance should be a deciding factor. So that's why I said all things being equal. Like in a normal society, the things that we hustle for in Nigeria are there. If you go to school, these things, except they're following you from your village, these things will be there for you. At that point, I don't think money is a deciding factor. Even here in Lagos, except I'm interpreting the question wrong, like, is money a very, what's the word now? Like, if you had two major things that you wanted to point out, or one major thing you wanted in your relationship, would it be money? I think that answer is no, for me, and
Okay.
for my spouse, because when you have money, you now have to live with this person. So now talking about long-term relationships, so the money is there. How do you now live with somebody for the rest of your life if that was your biggest deciding factor? So for me, I think a whole lot of other things are way more important. Number one is friendship. Like, can you deal with this person in the same space? Like, I am a very private, very space-conscious person. So one of the biggest tells that I really loved my wife before I married her was that she'd be in my space and I wasn't tired of her. It was a big deciding factor for me. So yes, all things being equal, money is good because it makes all things to be equal. But after that, please, there are way more important things than money. Because you get into that marriage and you run out. Because money does actually. So people say, well, I prefer to cry, shed tears in a mansion.
In a mansion,
True. True. It's a whole lot better to shed tears in a mansion, but if you can actually get other things in that mansion, better for you instead of just shedding tears in that mansion. Yeah. So yes, I don't think money is exactly. So I don't. So to answer that question from my point of view, I don't think money is a deciding factor. money is an important benefit, but other things are more important.
Okay, so someone is saying finance is important, but shouldn't be a deciding factor in courtship come choosing a spouse. Okay, definitely. Yeah, I think, like you said, it is important to actually put some structure, especially where there is expectation, right? Because around and being able to just basically take care of things, even with the male ego of being able to say, I want to be able to provide in that sense. But even going back to that point, right, is that conversation we're having about your money is our money, my money is my money. How do you guys think about that in terms of either current relationship or previous relationship? Has it always been that from the guy's perspective of saying, hey, you know what, I got this, just chill? Or from the lady's perspective, is it like, hey, Mr. Man, you're taking care of everything, baby girl's money is baby girl's money. How do you guys think about financial contribution in terms of on the relationship side? And even from the perspective of, at what point do you even start having conversation about finance in the relationship? Does your other half or your partner that you're dating, do they know how much you make? Do you guys talk about money? Or is it just a case of, hey, everybody just take care of your own money, we don't need to have that conversation, everybody's just fine? Are there conversations about money? And at what point are you like, I'll take care of everything, or is it like a split kind of relationship structure? Because I've seen people say, oh no, don't tell anybody, whoever you're dating, about your finances until you're married, or blah blah blah. But at what point do you want to start having conversations about your finances, about, hey, how are you doing financially? This is where I am financially. What are we doing essentially from a financial perspective? Because like you said, my own thinking is, yes, there's a lot of other things that should be there, but you also realize that it is extremely stressful when you guys are married and you can't even buy food, right? Because if both of you are struggling financially, no matter all the love or all the other things people are talking, like dude, when you stand up, we need to eat, right? Or imagine you are at home and your power credit cuts out. Like, young man, go outside. Why? Your mates are making money. What are you doing? So at what point do you guys start having conversations about money in the relationship? And when that conversation then eventually happens, is it my money is my money and your money is our money? How does that dynamic also work? Isaac, since
If
we
I
have...
could go first, yes, please,
Mhm.
because the way this network is playing jaku jaku with my phone, I'm not sure what's going on. So now that I can hear you guys properly, I can just quickly answer. I think that from the beginning of the relationship, I'm not talking about when the person is asking you out and the very first question is, do you have money? I mean, that's also a good question, but it's not really an important question. But I think that from when it starts to become serious, you want to ensure that both your goals are aligned and that you are headed in the same direction. I recently had a conversation with a friend who was in a situation where he's already married, but it turns out that him and his wife are very different in terms of where they are with what they want to do with their lives. She's quite comfortable being a housewife. As long as they can eat and as long as they have clothes, she's okay with basics. But he wants them to strive for more and go for more and do more, and she's not about that life. So, I mean, I think those are like really, really important conversations to have at the beginning, so that you understand that you are aligned, you're both headed in the same direction. I've dated people with potentials who didn't live to these potentials, who didn't use these potentials. And I wish that I had those conversations, because these people were very smart. But you know how when somebody's okay with earning 250,000 naira a month because it covers their rent, and they're not hungry, then they will tell you, what am I trying for? I'm not hungry. But you want to go for much, 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 much more. But so I don't think it's about potentials. I think it's about just aligning goals and ensuring that both of you are headed in the same direction with regards to how much you intend to earn and what kind of. I mean, I, if I had gone ahead with that person, I'm not saying 250,000 naira was bad. Actually it was bad. Sorry, but school fees. I I paid school fees last term. It was almost 1 million naira for the term. Because when you want to take your child to a good school, and then you are now considering the fact that your husband's salary is 250,000 naira, and you are the one who is paying 80% of the rent, and that he's dressed in the right wears. I feel like if I got married to Sunny now, I won't have to worry about all of those things. Sunny, this is me shooting my shot online, but
Shots fired.
Money in the bag.
I mean, it's almost Valentine's.
Sunny,
And
please send this money to Lagos now.
Yeah, so Valentine is coming.
so I think those are important
Sunny, where is
conversations
your
to have from
girlfriend?
the very, very, very beginning.
Sunny is declaring life. Is that pounds? Sunny.
Oh my goodness.
Sunny came ready. Sunny came ready to get for this.
I think one interesting thing is, like, based on everything we've been saying, sorry to interject, is it's interesting. There are two things there. The first thing is, just to talk on that, my money is my money and your money is my money. Actually, from a religious perspective, my own religious background, actually, that is actually factual. Like, I know not everybody's religious, but religiously, in my own religion, yeah, your, like, her money is her money and your money is also her money. Like, you are it literally says it unequivocally, you're in charge for the provision of your spouse. It is no, except if she says, honey, it's okay, that's fine, but by default. Now, another thing I want to talk about is, it's interesting because I'm guessing the narrative, again, I still say from a feminine and a masculine perspective, it's very different, because I'm pretty sure from the man them that are here, a lot of things the ladies are saying doesn't really register for us, because we don't be going into thinking she's got to earn that much. But that's just how it is. Hypergamy dictates that. This is just what we are. Yes, there's social conditioning and everything, but at the root level, that's just, it is what it is. Because even when I ask my female friends, like, hey, they're ballers, they earn money. Do you want a guy? Like, these are Fortune 500 ladies. They're like, I'll give you an example. I have a friend. She's first 30 under 30. She's a vice president. She was a vice president at 26 of a multinational company, right? It's a lady that, like, bought apartments outright in 2 major cities in the world, right? Then she was telling me about how she was struggling with dating and all of that. Why? Because on a natural level, she still wanted to find a lad that earned more. Now she's comfortable. And I had to tell her, look, logistically, it's just almost impossible, because at 26, like, yo, you're not going to find a lot of guys that have this money. And those guys that have this money, they're taking their time. They're not rushing. You understand? So either you need to come to terms with that fact that, I think that we lost Francis. You've got to come to terms with that fact that, you gotta, like, prioritize something else. But again, I just wanted to point out based on what Isaac was saying. Like, I feel like there's also a slight caveat from a masculine and a feminine perspective where, our expectations are different from one another. But I do agree with her. It all comes down to knowing where you want to head. If like I've always said, me personally, before I get married, I would like to be earning for 3 first, which is myself, and I want to give my spouse the option to take her time before she returns to work, and also a child that potentially could be just show up. So that kind of thing. And that's just me personally.
Yeah.
Yes, I think that it's still, like, it goes back to that narrative, like the whole society narrative, right? So, like, the friend you spoke about, Sunny, that is 26 and is already a 30 under 30, and she's looking for someone that is much more wealthier than she is. It's just pretty much because of, like, standards that society has set for us, right? I don't want to have to be with somebody that earns below me, just so that it doesn't seem like he's coming after my money, right? Because he's supposed to be the provider. So I want to be in a relationship, or I want to be in a situation where the guy seems to be the provider, and I don't want to have to ride on any other person's ego or whatnot. Personally, I would say that does money matter? Yes, it does. It really matters. Like, it matters, but then that shouldn't be, like, the focal point, or a deciding factor to get into a relationship. But then it's just aligning to have the same goals. Like, where are we going? Are we going in the same direction? Does it make sense? Can we align? Would we agree? Let's even already draw out a map. In the event that one of us loses our source of income, like, how do we go about solving this problem? But I think, going back to the question that Francis asked earlier, sorry, I can see, why should a woman work while married and the money she makes still remains at home? Okay, well, so going back to the question.
Okay.
To the question that Francis had. Sorry, this question just threw me off balance. I think I want to answer it now. Yeah, so personally, I don't think that, well, it just depends. Like, for me, my own reality would be, if I'm working and I'm earning, and where I'm able to support the family, I would. So I hear about people that, well, I hear about women. I'm not married, so I hear about ladies that are married, and then they have to, like, they put a monthly budget that they send to their husbands. Hey, so this is what we need for the house. But like, if I'm working and I'm earning, I don't think I necessarily want to have to come to you with a budget for the. Only if you say to me that, hey, I want to take care of our monthly expenses in the house, so like groceries, whatever, and you send it to me, that's fine. But if I'm able to, and then maybe it just goes back to the fact that I really hate to be accountable to people around money. So I'm just literally going to work into the grocery store and do groceries for the family, because, hey, I'm a part of the family. And if we need to get things done, once I'm able to, I'm capable of, taking care of that bill, I'm happy to do it. So that's my own perspective. So I'm speaking as the only female right now. It would have been nice to have IZ or Dami give their take on this, but that's just my own personal take.
So maybe I actually like that question, and then it also ties into your money is your money, my money is our money conversation. So at the risk of stirring the honestness of feminists, my wife is a feminist, so and I tell her this, like, I joke all the time. I don't think it's just a societal or a religious thing. I think at a very primal core, like our animal nature, the male species is expected to provide. Like, even when the woman is considering who to marry, like, the list of things that she considers important still come from that primal nature of, can this guy sire the next generation of my lineage? Can he provide? Can he protect? I think that's where that comes from, because my wife is a feminist and I support women's rights, but I don't think I know enough to be a feminist. But guess what? She still has this primal thing where she ends well. But when it comes to certain things, like, I noticed that, okay, we go out, for instance, she can foot our bill if maybe I don't have my wallet or something. But the fact that I am there, she wants me to pay for it. She might not say it, but it's just there in her demeanor. There's some basic things like, oh, stuff in the house. Like, she just lets me do. Not because she can't do it, but it's just like, I understand it's a primal thing. So sometimes I just joke with her, like, oh, we're an equal rights relationship, so you do this one, I'm not doing. Like, just because. But it's that thing is there where she's like, you know what? Yeah. So first of all, so different things work for different couples. Like, I don't like to predict or prescribe what works for me and my wife for every other person. Like, for us now, we operate certain joint accounts. So at the end of the month, both our money, certain percentage goes into that account, and then everybody also has their own personal account that nobody questions what you're doing with. But this my money is your money thing actually works even there, because my wife can see all of my accounts, because the joint accounts are tied to my accounts. So with the app, she can see everything in my account, so she can actually track all our spending. But all accounts are blind. Like aside from what she puts in the bank for us, I can't see that. And it's not like I'm just saying now because I just noticed that like it just occurred to me that that's what happens. It's not done on purpose. It's still that whole like I want to know that my husband or the guy I'm married to can provide for us without me thinking too much about it. So yes, that my money is my money, your money is our money thing actually does work in most relationships. Yeah.
Just to add to that point, I don't know if I can, my guy. It's I like the fact that you brought the primal angle because we are animals at the end of the day. Yes, we are smart animals, but that is the truth. And I'm not mad at it. I've always said la joue est la joue. The game is the game. It makes sense. It completely makes sense. Yes, we are at an age where look, these brains haven't changed for 100,000 years since Homo sapiens first evolved. We're just using the same firmware, the same software. It's still iOS 1. It hasn't changed. You understand? So, like, I get it. And that's why it plays out in the so that's why I tell people there's the world we want to live in, and there's the way the world plays out. That's why you see, generally ladies like older guys. Why? It's not just because at that point, financially, physically, mentally, there's a lot of things, right? Because we can talk about equality at the end of the day, but if the robber comes and knocks the door, everybody's gonna look at one person. They're gonna look at me. I'm telling you, I grew up with sisters, so it makes sense. Like, I'm not saying it has to play out in everybody's life. So, but in the reality is, at the end of the day, this what is here would in some way inform a lot of the decisions we make. So we may say we want a world where everybody has to earn. That's what I see. Again, I ask my female friends, hey, do you want to, these are boss ass ladies, but at the end of the day, they still want a guy that at least earns more if they had to pick. But we in the male world is like, what a lady earns is somewhere at the peripheral. And I just once talked about this on Clubhouse, and a lot of people didn't like what I had to say. And I said, this is just the reality. It's not that we do not value that provision side that our female counterparts bring to us. No, it is not a priority, because innately we're like, okay, if that is a hindrance for me getting with this woman, then I'm gonna go get my game on point and earn that money for us. But it's not gonna stop me. Oh, she has only a secondary school certificate, or she earns 120,000. Cool story. And you know what? We shouldn't really be fighting that as a reality. It works for a lot of people. It's choice at the end of the day, and so it's just, again, I wanted to highlight that. But amazing point.
You might mute one. I think you might mute. One, I think your mic is mute.
One, we can't hear you. I think it's probably maybe your network or something.
Ooh, I think she's muted.
No, she's not. Okay. Network internet service providers will mess you up if you're not careful.
Well, look at that.
I
have
have
been
switched.
3 men talking about relationships.
Exactly. We're not doing this anymore. Let's shut this show down. I've switched 3 internet networks during this show alone. Like I've gone to my phone. I've used Swift. I've used NGCom. Like such a.
That is an interesting conversation. We will probably need to have on another day. Like, paying for
MTN has
value
been
and still not
amazing.
getting it.
MTN has been amazing. No, actually, Airtel has been amazing.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Welcome back.
Okay,
Yes,
so I
we
had
can
a
hear
call
you now.
come in. I think it sort of distorted the sound, the audio on my device. So I was saying, obviously, I would very much love to have someone that has more money than I do. Just because, hey,
Just because,
like, yeah, you're supposed to be the provider after all, right? And like, Sani had cited, there are religious backings to these things, like, the man being the provider. And then, so I think I've been in situations where I'm probably earning more, and so the guy feels uncomfortable, and I don't push. So that like I wouldn't push because I understand that like there's the whole male ego thing. Like if you're not comfortable with me having to support or provide, I'm fine. I'm just going to sit and wait when you have the money. But like when it hooks you bad, feel free to ask. Like I'm not going to hold. I'm not going to judge you. And that's if I really. But it's what I would do for anybody. Like it's what I would do for friends. So.
So let me ask you guys a very interesting question. So I was watching a YouTube series recently. Forgotten, I think Game On or something on YouTube. Pretty interesting series, right? And something interesting happened. The husband was literally struggling financially, and apparently the wife had money. She was literally even hiding the money in the house, like. And the guy discovered, he saw the money and he was like, "Babes, what's going on here?" And it's that same concept of she's like, "Oh, you're a man now. You figure it out. You always do." I was like, "Look, I was drowning in bills. I was literally borrowing and borrowing money from every other person. But you had money and you couldn't, or you were not even willing to even help or even say, you know what, let me even borrow you the money, right? You were willing to go to the father to say, look, is your struggle, figure that shit out, right? So that dynamics of, hey, like what I know I'm seeing a few of the comments even saying like, hey, yes, you are working, you have, but why do you think that is also like a struggle? Because yes, you have that money and they see their partner struggling. Why do you think that obviously that dynamic sometimes happen in some relationship where people are like, hey, even though I have it and I can help, but I'm just going to let you try and sort yourself out?
There was never a
I think
relationship.
It's a man's
Yeah, I
world.
think that's
Like,
witchcraft.
come on.
There was never a
That's
relationship.
witchcraft. That's just that you just defined witchcraft. That scenario you painted is witchcraft. It's not. It's not my money is your money. That's one. That one, like the whole point of love or the whole point of a relationship. At the end of the day, like Sunny said, it's at some level. Yes, we rise above that level on many things, but at the very primal level, it's very transactional. So, if we're in a relationship and you have the opportunity to contribute more in that relationship, even if it's temporarily, please take it. Like, don't be a witch. Like, how do you watch somebody you claim to love being in a what's it called in a tight spot, and then you want him to figure it out because you think he's the man? Nah, that's witchcraft.
I like they say that's witchcraft.
Yeah, I mean, like,
I agree.
I think that's why it comes down to communication and like what Iz was saying is really knowing what expectations and communicating that clearly, right? I haven't, like, I've mostly been date or even maybe my last relationship most of the time I've been lucky that I've always been the one earning more, and I've had conversations. So my other half at the time, which more than capable of looking after themselves, but sometimes I have the awareness to see maybe when you're struggling. I could give you an example. There was an ex-girlfriend of mine that was studying for medical. She was going to medical school, and she was really, you know how tough it is in medical school. Now she didn't want to take a loan, so she was really working hard and also going to school. But I was aware enough to be like, yo, hey, I see you grinding. You go to school Monday to Friday, Saturday, Sunday, you're working part-time because you don't want to take a loan from the government. Like, hey, look, I got this money. I got a lot of it and it's
I
not
got
going
it.
anywhere anytime soon. Right. So like it wasn't even a conversation. I was just like, look, I don't like the fact that I call you and I talk to you and you're forgetting to go get lunch or dinner because you're trying to rationalize I shouldn't eat this thing. I hear no. You can do it, but that kind of thing. And I remember just giving my girlfriend at the time a card of mine and said, hey, I know how much is inside. I get a notification if whatever you buy, I can block it anytime I want. But I need you to at least, for next maybe month or two or whatever, get yourself lunch. Now you could say chauvinist, whatever, and everything, but that was just me using my own hey, okay, this person is really putting in the work and they can take care of themselves. I'm not there to save them, because that's one thing I to my girlfriend. I'm not here to save you. Like I ain't here to save nobody. I'm here to save me. You do you. Then together we can be better. But that's the courtesy that you.
All right, I think we've lost
Courtesy, and
Sammy.
I would expect, even if it was the other way around, she saw me grinding. It would be nice. She doesn't owe it to me, but it would be nice.
Okay. Tunde. So maybe the question I want to ask is,
Oh damn.
do
I
you think
my
people
internet's
enough
acting up.
people actually have conversations about money in their
Oh
relationship?
Lord.
Like generally, from like your own interactions with people generally, do you feel like there's beyond just like the love and the dove, obviously like, oh, this person is fine, he works well, but like us now really talking, especially when they start thinking about like long term, that people have like honest conversations, because like you said as well, right? He guy might actually end well, both of them actually end well, but then maybe down the line there is crisis or whatever comes their way, that might bring a bit of instability financially. And you've also seen cases where that has actually even ruined relationships. So do you think enough people even have those conversations early around, hey, how do we plan long term for our finances, even thinking about the kids we'll have and all of that, and how do we then start pulling together, not just from from a love and family planning, but how are we thinking about it from a financial perspective? Do you think that happens enough, even from your interactions with people around generally?
So I'm an extremely logical, rational person, and I like to hide it within my own family so that people don't think I'm a sociopath or something. But the conversations I have with people, and maybe younger family members come in to me and say, "Oh, I want to get married," and in my head is screaming like, "Are you crazy? Like, how are you? You're not even you are barely taking care of yourself. You want to bring in other people into this mess." To answer the question, not a lot of people have these conversations before they get into committed relationships. Very, very extremely few people have these conversations. And it takes a level of self-awareness to even know to have this kind of conversations. Like Isaac hits the nail on the head. That's why I didn't even answer anything she said. When she was talking about, it's not even like the money itself that you have now. It's even about your ideals, like your alignments. For instance, I'm having discussions with my wife and what? We're probably going to be in different countries for the most of later in the year because I'm going to have to travel a lot. But she gets it, like, because before we even got here in the first place, like, she knew the kind of person I was. She knew what my life goals were going to be. So she's not going to be like, you know what, I need you to be around, or I need to be. Look, my family is priority. But when I need to do certain things, she gets it because we've had this discussion even while we were dating. In fact, our first date at the restaurant was she jokes about it was literally an interview. Like, I just got there. It was not romantic. Like, yes, we laughed, we bought food, but it was just
Like,
me asking
hey,
her a
let's talk
series of
about
questions.
this.
Like,
Where are
because
we
I needed to
going?
know that. Yeah, because I needed to know that.
But
this
all you know,
person
it was romantic
is
to her, Sha, so
well.
You told her you had
She
money
jokes.
now, so money brings romance. You told her you
Well,
was
she,
rich.
she still
Go
jokes
back
about
on.
it. She jokes about it till today. She's like it actually got her attention because first of all, she was expecting something different, but this guy just rose in here and he's just asking me all sorts of questions, and I was he was almost intrusive, but it wasn't intrusive. So it got her attention. It was different from what she was used to. So maybe that worked. Anyways, long story short, I think more people should have this kind of discussion because at the very core of it, marriage is a partnership, or long-term relationships are partnerships. All of the love and all of that is like icing on the top. You love this person, you're friends with this person, but it's a partnership that needs to work. So if it's going to work, you need to discuss stuff like money and values. So this thing we do now, where we pull resources together, we have joint bank accounts. We discussed it even before we got married, and we implemented, and we had reasons why we wanted to do it, and those reasons might not apply to other people. But if I had, so I was dating someone before, and where I knew we're not aligned, one of the things I just quickly pointed out that we're not aligned. I was talking about, and different people have different. So her own opinion wasn't wrong, but it was so much at odds with what I felt I wanted to do that. I think I'm off.
you're
Can
still
anybody
on.
okay. Yeah. So yeah, it was so much it was so much at odds with what I wanted to do in my life that I had to break it off. And it was just a simple conversation of trust funds and how we need to help our kids to step into life at a better position than we did growing up. And she was like, and this is something that ended well. So it wasn't a thing of, she didn't have money. She had her own money. But she was like, and her opinion is correct because I have friends who have those opinions. But it was odds with me. So she was like, no, we're just going to provide the basics for the kids and everybody handles themselves. It just didn't make sense to me. It makes sense to some other people. It didn't make sense to me. So if we had gotten married, this would have been a serious bone of contention. And those type of things usually are ideological problems. So it just shows you that in very important areas of both of your lives, you don't agree on certain things. And that just pointed to, so I could go on and on about other things that we didn't align on. But hey, if you ask us then, we'll say we love each other. And so yeah, just to wrap this up so I don't talk too much. You need a level of self-consciousness to discuss money and values very early on in your relationship. It's highly important.
Okay, so any final words? I think we've kind of, the session has kind of stayed longer than we actually planned for the day. So I would like everybody to final thoughts about the broad conversation and final takeaway, final thoughts that you like to leave people with around how they even approach or how they are thinking about their relationship and how they should be thinking about the impact, the importance, and the influence money will have as the even people that are about Valentine is coming, as they say, there's a song, Valentine is coming, as there are people approaching the next week and they are thinking of showing love and going for whatever that is people are planning. What do you think they should be thinking around it in terms of all of that from a financial perspective as well?
If you don't get money, hide your face. Hide your face. I'm messing with you. I haven't really got anything to add. So, just do what works for you. But one thing I've learned the past few years is a lot of the things we call traditional, we call old order thinking, we question, we rebel against when we're very little. We think like these guys are. The older I get now, I'm not like, okay.
Now it makes sense.
All right. Oh, when them times that we were young, we're like, oh yeah, people should pay more taxes, blah 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 blah. Now when you enter a certain tax bracket, you're like, okay, no, it's my money, So don't be quick to this. We live in this postmodernist world. Don't be quick to pull down old order things because you think they are not progressive enough or anything. Try and actually understand them and understand where people are coming from, because like they say, the blind man and the man who has eyes but doesn't see, and they're not any better. So you need to take time sometimes to understand, okay, when people are saying, go and hustle before you go and find love, and that can at least have a plan. They don't. It's not like they're trying to tell you you're too young or anything, but they know that, look, hey man, she maybe love you and everything, but after one point, fetching water doesn't really, 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 really look nice. Everybody wants a shower, that kind of thing. So, she may look at it like there's this thing I read about how Tenny or Tedola, like whenever she's vexing with Mr. Easy, that's when she realizes he's ugly. Like she look at him and be like, also make like chop like make like no chop you. So that's the one thing I would say people should be really mindful about.
Okay. So I think for me, final thoughts on our conversation is I think it goes both ways, right? Everyone should hustle, both male, female, bring your money to the table. And maybe this is more like really personal to me. Um, so I think I lost my dad when I was 7 months. So just imagine if my mom didn't have anything that she was doing, how she would to raise 4 kids, right? So it's very important to me that, like I've seen it happen, like, firsthand. And so it's really important that I bring my money to the table, I'm able to bring, but just in case something happens to like any other person, right? And that's one. And I think final thoughts would be, my money is our money, your money is our money.
I like that part.
Nice. Nice.
So at the end of the day, it's all our money. There's no mine in the conversation. Sweet.
Yep.
Tunde?
Yeah. So final thoughts from me. So we live in a world now where the bar is higher for a lot of things. Like, it's more expensive to pay school fees. It's more expensive to do the basic things that we could do before for less. So that's why money is important. But my main point of money shouldn't be the most important thing in a relationship. I can back that, and I'm just going to leave this final thought. So my mom, and especially my mom and my mother-in-law, they make comments like, "Oh, you guys can't have just one kid. It has to be." My mom wants at least 4, and I'm like, you know what? When you send me the trust fund to pay for Harvard tuition, for tuition for 4 kids at Harvard, then no problem. I'm going to give that to the kids. So in their own time, this thing I talk about, a social net, was available. So you could have the potential, people married for potential. You could have the struggling guy marry the babe because there was a family support system that would kind of pull them through. My parents married as broke asses, but we did, like, the kids did not feel broke for once because my grandparents were bankrolling our lives, really, like, for a long time. But you don't really have those kind of things these days. Now, both of my parents are at the top of their careers, commissioner, this, that. But when we were growing up, even like, so it was not until I got to maybe like early teens that I actually knew that my parents must have been broke earlier. So those things are not available now. Like, nobody's going to pay your children's school fees. Nobody's going to pay your house rent. So because those things are not available, please, like Sanu said, hustle.
Yeah, and I think like what you're just saying, I think just thinking back, it's kind of very interesting because you realize that even in terms of like how people approach, like eventually thinking about settling down, you realize that in the olden days, it was easy. People in their early 20s quickly just got married. Like now you see people that like in their mid 30s, late 30s, some of them even are working well, they're earning well, but they're like, yeah. Or okay, you know what? I don't think I'm financially at that perspective, even though they've already found love. So it's not there's a lot of that pressure, right? And then you're thinking about like school fees. School fees is pretty expensive. You want to go to good schools, And kids these days they want to like they want variety in the food options that you are eating, right? So and those things cost money. So yeah, I think the key important thing is like yes, they find that balance, right? Don't be like what Sunny said. Don't be quick to pull down things because you have try to understand why, because sometimes you that you have an ideology doesn't mean that the person also doesn't have a certain view. You want to understand their view, understand where they are coming from, and a lot of those things is also shaped by their own experiences. Okay, thank you so much, guys. This has been a truly remarkable session. I couldn't have done it without you all. For those of you still watching us live on this session, thank you for staying with us for this long. Don't forget to like, subscribe. I have been seeing a lot of the comments. Thank you so much, guys, for staying with us for over an hour, literally. This has been like the longest episode so far on this on the show. So thank you so much for people that are watching us live, for my guests, for being here. I think this was really interesting conversation. And yeah, definitely we look to probably have you guys back on the show later on or at one point in time. But thank you so much. And at this point in time, we are going to call it a day. Thank you so much and good night.
Bye, guys.